Hey, so this is going to be my review of the Lamzu Maya. Let's get into it. So this is the latest release from Lamzu. It's their new shape. It's not a mini version of the Thorn or a different size of the Atlantis. This is their brand new ambidextrous shape. It's a pretty small mouse. I'll put up the uh, size, the width, length, and height on screen right now, somewhere top right probably. If you have really large hands, I probably wouldn't recommend this for anything else other than fingertip grip. If you have medium to large size hands, you can either fingertip or claw grip this. And if you have smaller hands, you could probably palm grip this and claw grip. So for my relaxed claw grip, it's almost perfect in terms of length, but it's slightly too short, where I have this with a lot of mice, but I'll explain why this is an issue, where my ring finger is on the front end of the mouse here on the right. And it is smoothed out, as you can see, but for some reason when I'm playing for a longer session, and sometimes I squeeze a bit harder than other times, I feel it's kind of pushing into my ring finger more like it's a sharper edge, which is an issue that I do not have on the OP1WE, which has better rounded edges at the front. So, spoiler alert, that is a deal breaker for me. I like the mouse, but that is the deal breaker for me, and which is why I will not be using this mouse as my main. But that definitely doesn't mean that this can't be good for anyone else. All tech related things on this mouse are amazing. I have had no issues with the sensor, no issues with the main clicks, the side buttons, the scroll wheel. Everything felt great in game. Now for the clicks, they went back to mechanical switches. They're using Wano Blue Shell Pink Dots. I believe it's a custom one, Wano made for Lamzu. And they feel great. They're pretty light. They are not as light as something like my Zowie EC3. And I did overall like the clicks on the Lamzu Thorn better. But it's a good experience. I have no issue. There's barely any pre-travel and just a little bit of post-travel. And nothing about the post-travel hinders me in game, and I don't actually really notice it, to be really honest. Like always, I barely use the side buttons, but they have the same as the main clicks, just barely any pre-travel and just a slight bit of post-travel. And the scroll wheel has something weird on this mouse. For some reason, there's like some air between the rubber and the actual scroll wheel itself. So if you push into it, it kind of bounces. It kind of feels like you're pushing in a tire. And at first, it caught me by surprise. But once you get used to it and you use it like regularly, you'll like don't think any of it, and it won't bother you in any way. But that's something to note. And I'll give you a quick sound test of all the clicks and the scroll wheel. The build quality is really nice on the Lamzu Maya, as with the Thorn and the Atlantis as well. When squeezing extremely hard, you might feel the sidewalls bend in like a teeny tiny bit, but that's with unrealistic pressure that you wouldn't be applying in game. So in regular use, you won't feel any issues with the build quality whatsoever. The Lamzu mice have always had great price to performance. Everything tech-wise is top tier on this. The build quality is great, the clicks feel great, and just for under $100 without shipping, there is really no reason to not get this if you're not interested, in my opinion. Unless you obviously don't have the money available for it. It doesn't come with the 4K dongle. You will have to buy that separately for about 20 euros, I believe. You just get the 1K hertz dongle in the box here. But if you want to know my thoughts on the 4K performance, you can check out my Thorn video, which I'll link below as well. Now, the situation with the mouse feet are a bit strange, because there is this sticker, which I have applied, which doesn't come on there out of the box. You get this extra, so I just put it in there to get as little dust in there as possible. And as you can see, it is extremely slow. Now, looking at the mouse feet, they still stick out above the sticker, so I don't believe that I applied it wrong, but I might have. So maybe you can just beware of the fact that these skates are probably pretty slow, since I don't think I applied them wrong. See, they still stick out above the sticker, so these mouse feet out of the box are extremely slow. This mouse is 10 grams lighter than my OP1WE, and this glides much faster, as you can see. So at 45 grams, and with these mouse feet, it really didn't require me a lot of time on the mouse to get used to it. Usually in the past, with the HCS Plus, for example, I said that I needed quite a lot of time and that it felt pretty unstable for me to use it due to the light weight. But it didn't actually feel that light, which probably was caused by the slower mouse feet. So in general use, like aimbots, it felt pretty good when I'm just aiming. But when I get back to actually playing a Face-It game or a pug, and I have to properly clear angles and pre-aim and not just aim at bots, then I do prefer something heavier like a OP1WE or a EC3CW. It just feels more reliable, more stable, and I wouldn't say it felt awkward with this, but it felt worse, like relatively. So I'll just say it like that. Now the shape, when I saw photos, I thought that it was going to be too flat and with the hump centralized, that it wouldn't be accommodating for my claw grip. But when I took it out of the box and I actually started using it for the first time, I was pleasantly surprised that it actually does accommodate for my relaxed claw grip pretty well. But like I mentioned at the start of the video, there is this issue I have when I use it for a longer period with the front edge. So I have 19 by 10 centimeters hands, so if you have shorter hands, you probably will not have a problem with that. If you have a relaxed claw, since your fingers are probably going to be more towards the back of the sidewall instead of in front. But just keep that in mind about the edge. It might be an annoyance, it might not be, depending on how hard you grip the mouse. But I should definitely have mentioned that. As the standard nowadays is the 3395, this Lamzu Maya has the 3395 as well. It is also 4K compatible, but I did not try it with 4K. At 1K Hertz, I had absolutely no issues with the sensor whatsoever. It worked fine in game. I had no complaints about it. And the battery life, on their website it just says a long battery life, so I'm not sure exactly about the time. But I do remember using it for 4 days without any issues, so if you just charge it every other night, you're going to be fine and you won't ever complain about any battery life to that point. So if you have smaller hands, you can use this for palm or claw grip. If you have medium to large hands, you can claw or fingertip this. And if you have large hands, you can fingertip grip this mouse, which, due to the centralized hump, is really accommodating, since there's quite a lot of space in your palm for you to actually fingertip it and move it backwards. So I really like this mouse, except for the front right. If I was using something like only playing games like Aim Trainer, I probably would use this a lot more often. But because I'm playing FPS games competitively, I prefer something a little higher weight and not with a edge that bugs me while playing. So I would like to see in the future maybe a bit more rounded out. I hope that's possible. But yeah, I definitely do recommend this mouse if you are thinking of getting it. If any of the grip styles to your hand size applies to you, you definitely should give this a shot. It's not going to be my favorite mouse, but mice are obviously a really subjective thing, and even minor things like the edge that I talked about can be a deal breaker for some. So make sure to watch some other reviews and then carefully consider before you buy. As always, let me know what you thought of the video. Leave a like if you liked it, sub if you haven't already. And my next video will be about the OP1WE, so be on the lookout for that. That'll be probably sometime next week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.